They play a lot of press man coming in, and did they do what you expected, or did you think that they would do what a lot of teams have done and kind of give you unscouted looks?
They mixed it up a little. I mean, I think they still stuck to their core a little bit. They tried to do a few things to just kind of keep us off balance, but for the most part, they kind of stuck with what their plan was going in.
Do you feel like you kind of countered what they do in terms of man defense well enough in terms of having man beating routes, pick routes, that kind of stuff?
I think when you look at it, obviously when we reflect back on the game, there's always things you want to try to see if you can do more of and exploit after you play them. And that's kind of the process we went through yesterday as the staff and with the players. But in the moment, just trying to get a feel for what they're doing and how it's coming about, when it's happening, certain coverages. You always look back and say, okay, the next time if we play them again, what are we going to do? So that's kind of what we went through the other day.
Looking at the last two games, is there any one thing in particular that is most frustrating that you guys haven't been able to do or that you really need to fix?
I think like everything, when you look at the situations we have sometimes, when we're on track, we do a pretty good job. And if we get off track a little bit, whether it's a negative play or a penalty, that puts us kind of in a hole. We've had some trouble with that. So, it starts with us as a staff to make sure we're in a good play and we're executing at a high level and we're all detailed up. And then if something happens like a penalty, sometimes those happen. We got to be able to overcome that. So that's kind of been the thing a little bit because we've had opportunities. We just haven't, made the most of them at times. We know we're capable of. I know the guys are excited about it, and then they feel like we're moving in the right direction. We just got to continue to push through that and explode when we need to.
After review, what are your takeaways of Jaylen's performance?
I thought Jaylen played well. I mean, it was a difficult kind of game. It was a different kind of game the way it kind of played out. He took care of the ball, and that's a major priority for us, obviously. But he did a good job, and the game kind of went the way it went. The field position was kind of different at times. There was we had two red zone opportunities. I know the short field, we came with a field goal. We needed to do a better job there. And then the other one, we were down in the red zone. We had a negative play and something else, and we kind of got out of it. Then we had to get back in the red zone and kicked a field goal. So those two drives right there, you come away with touchdowns, it feels completely different, the whole entire outlook, in the game for the offense. So he did a pretty good job.
We saw quite a few negative plays. How do you balance some of those play calls that might lend themselves to negative plays versus knowing that if you hit them, they'll be big gainers?
Yeah, that's always the gamble a little bit. If you're trying to do something and it doesn't work out, that could happen. When you reflect back on the game, you just got to see what was it. Was it a breakdown by scheme? Was it a breakdown by something they did? And try to correct it to make sure those things don't happen and we can stay on track as best we can.
What makes you and the players feel encouraged that things are heading in the right direction, as you mentioned? And is there a sense of urgency now, since it's week 12, to find that consistency?
I think each game has been so different when we go out there, and we have found a way to win. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. So I think that's obviously been the encouraging spot. But ultimately, we know, as a staff, we got to do the best we can to put the players in position. And they know they want to do their best as well. So I think collectively we want to do everything we can, to be operating a super high level at all times. But we also know there's going to be moments in the game where it doesn't go that way. And how we overcome that and make the play when we need to, or move the ball when we need to, or score when we need to is really the most important thing.
AJ obviously had a high volume of targets. Was there a concerted effort to get the ball to him, and how did you feel like that impacted the flow of the offense?
Yeah, it was really no different. I think really the plan was pretty much similar to how it was every other game with him, and the ball found him a little bit more, which is great. And he made some critical plays for us when we needed it, made some really tough catches in traffic, and that's what he's awesome. He's a phenomenal player and did a really good job from that standpoint.
It was your lowest percentage of the 11 personnel since you've been here, and it was against a defense that seemed to like to stay in base and was missing some DBs. What was the thinking behind that?
Well, without getting too much into schematics, when people want to play that style of defense, there's some things you have to make sure when you're in 11 personnel that you're kind of covered. So there's some things that you got to be cautious of. That's why sometimes other personnel can benefit you from that standpoint.
What's been your evaluation, though, when you guys have been in 12 in terms of the run blocking from those extra tight ends?
It depends on the scheme. This past week we were able to do some other things and then pull guys and do some different things. So the point of attack blocks were different. And I think just keeping those guys on the move and continue to find new ways to put them in position to block, supplement it with the linemen when we can do, and keep things off balance with play actions. That's kind of what we got to continue to do and just mix it up for them.
Seems like every week you've had a different offensive lineman leaving the game.
Mm-hmm.
How much has that impacted I guess, the lack of consistency throughout the season on offense?
I mean, Stout does a great job having all those guys ready. They work extremely hard, and we trust anybody that's out there. But it is different, I guess you could say. It has been a different thing from week to week. We've had different guys kind of in and out of there, but they've all played extremely hard, and they know what to do. And we expect to just kind of keep it going the way it's been going. And whoever's available, we'll roll with. And I know everybody's eager to do what they need to do to help us win.
How would you describe the run game in general on Sunday and Saquon in particular in that game?
I mean, if you look at what it was, we knew it was going to be a very physical game, a very, a lot of guys in the box, that kind of slugfest a little bit at times. And for the most part, if the run efficiency was good, it was a different kind of game in that standpoint. We were able to get him on the edge and on the perimeter. He had some nice runs on the perimeter at times, which was good. So I think when you look at kind of what they were doing defensively going in, we knew what it was going to look like a little bit. And we were able to take advantage of a few things with that, like I said, and kind of get him on the perimeter. So obviously, you always want to try to get more out of it. And when you look at it after and reflect, what else can we do differently to kind of get him out into space more? And there was a few that were really close. And I think that's what we felt like after the game. I know I talked to a lot of the guys in the locker room, the O-line. They knew it was so close, and even Saquon on a few plays. And that's why we just got to continue to stick with it and find ways to just get him in space and do what we need to do.
I think Bixby has been someone that's always, it seems like he's always provided a spark in the offense. Is that a guy you want to get more touches to as well?
Yeah, when he comes in, I mean, he brings a lot of energy. I think we talked about this a week or two ago, right? So the energy and the juice that he brings is awesome, and he runs extremely hard, and Saquon does a great job of knowing when he needs a break and when he doesn't, and Jamal does an unbelievable job having all those guys ready for anything that's in the plan, and he runs hard, and it's been a really good spark for us.
A lot of guys on the offensive side of the ball have said many times throughout the season the defense has really bailed you guys out or has carried the team. Can that be frustrating sometimes on the offensive side if you feel like you're not the unit that's in control and you have to rely on the defense?
Yeah, I don't know if it's frustrating. I think it's exciting to know that we have a defense that can do that for us, right? And I think the cool part about it is we're playing as a team together. And I think it just goes back to all of us as coaches and players. Everybody wants to contribute. So, you feel like, hey, if I can do more, I want to do more. And I want to express it and show everybody that I can do more to be a part of this. So, they're playing phenomenal on defense right now. And we as an offense have to continue to find ways to do what we need to and, take games over and not just do it in certain spots. We need to do it kind of throughout the whole game.
There was a play to AJ in the third quarter down the left sideline. It looked like maybe he slowed up. Is that what you saw? What is the teaching point, if any, on that play?
Yeah, it was a 3rd and long, I believe, right? And he got kind of tangled up with the DB. I'm not so sure he located the ball, wholeheartedly, but we just got to continue to find ways to just connect on those kind of things and work on them in practice. And really throughout the history of it, Jaylen and AJ do an unbelievable job of connecting on those kind of things, and we'll continue to throw them to him, because he's going to do his job and get open, and we usually hit them.
There was a play in the second quarter where AJ and Dallas ball both went through both of their hands. They were both in the same area of the field. Was that executed how the play is designed with them?
So really what happened on that one was the ball was in the middle of the field, and we got kind of compressed on the way the spacing happened and the way the coverage happened. It was probably one of those plays where it's 1 out of 100 that could ever happen, and it just happened to happen on that one. And it's unfortunate because we had an opportunity to make a huge play on that play. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. The players have talked about the self-inflicted wounds kind of hurting you guys. As a coach, how do you coach out self-inflicted wounds? What's your strategy there, and what have you found in your career helps kind of fix those mistakes?
So I think really even going back to throughout the season and yesterday, that's something we immediately talk about as a whole unit in here as an offense and show them and talk about them and why drives are stalling out. We went through each drive and kind of showed all those self-inflicted things, but it's all of us too, right? It's the coaches, the players. We all have to be on the same page, whether it's a penalty, whether it's an assignment issue, whether it's a detail issue. We know they can't happen, and we know that's what's really getting us right now. So we got to continue to work on those together and really just understand that's where we got to stop those things.
We saw a couple of successful draw plays out of Jaylen, but overall the run numbers for him have been down. And you said, I feel like I've been beating this drum, but you said earlier this year that we'll see more of it. Can you give us the thinking about why it just hasn't been as much? Are you guys just saving him, or is this something that you don't think that he does as well as he did in the past?
No, I think he still does a great job. I mean, he's made really good plays for us with his legs when we need him, especially in the last couple of games. And I think if you look at some of the plays, there's a few where it could be him running or him throwing, and it's happened a little more this year where the throws happen more than the run. And I think we'll continue to use that because it is a dynamic part of the offense. When he's running the ball, he does a great job with it.
Fred Johnson, the way he filled in last year, what did that show you? And the fact that you have that experience, how does that color, I guess, how you plan a game and call a game with him in there?
I think really, the history of Fred is he's going to work extremely hard. He's going to know what to do. He's playing tight end for us, and all of a sudden he's got to play tackle. So there's a lot of confidence in that. I mean, he's a really good player, extremely big person and personality, fun to be around, and he cares. So it's cool to see a guy like that get an opportunity. And like you said, the history of knowing he did it last year and he's done it before, and if he's got to do it again, we know he's going to give it all he has, and he did a really good job Sunday night.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.